leaving this for any students who are not able to make it. My name is Carrie Morey. I'm the Academy coach at the Academies of Racine Case. And today our panel, our last panel of this Year Future Expo Week, is on education, leadership, and protective services. So I'm just going to have you each share your name, company or organization, and then what your position title is. And then we'll just kind of start going in a similar order here. So can we start with Chelsea?
Yes, but I also have a 4-year-old that is very interested in being on camera.
I'm over here.
So you will hear him in the background. My name is
I'm over here.
My name is Chelsea Powell. I'm the managing director at a nonprofit called Higher Expectations
Right here.
for Racine County.
Hello.
This is Logan. He doesn't have school today. Was there something else I was supposed to say?
No, we got it. And thank you for engaging our freshmen more than they've been all week. All right, next is Sarah.
Hi everyone. Yeah, so my name is Sarin. I'm with Gateway Technical College and I am the new student specialist for CASE.
All right, and then we have Ernest.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ernest Goggins, Jr. I'm the lead mission learning consultant for Goodwill Industries in Southeast Wisconsin. Most of my job includes the consultant work. So I basically take, our mission endeavors of engaging marginalized communities with regards to training to create sustainability with partner businesses and organizations throughout the city of Milwaukee, and also, of course, collaboratively with Racine as well. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thanks. And then we have Jeremy.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Hugasian. I'm a firefighter paramedic for the South Shore Fire Department. And I just respond to 911 calls and emergencies.
Thanks. And then we have Savanna.
Hi, thank you. I'm Savanna Williams. I'm an assistant professor at Carthage College in the education department. I'm also the director of the Urban Teacher Preparation Program and the Accelerated Certification for Teachers program at Carthage. Originally from Chicago, I've been at Carthage for over 6 years now. So thanks for having me here so I can share with you.
All right, thanks. And then our second question will go in that same order is, if you could explain a little bit about, what you do, but also the skills and education that are needed in your career area, please. So start with Chelsea.
Sure. So I am in the nonprofit sector. I think it really depends across the nonprofit sector what type of education that you can get into it through. I think there's a ton of options, but particularly, often a bachelor's degree is what will end you up sort of in this field. I have my bachelor's degree in political science from UW-Madison. And I think in terms of skills, I would say the ability to communicate really effectively, the ability to write, the ability to have empathy and understand other people's perspectives in the world, and to understand lived experiences that are different from your own without judgment is really important if you want to go into a nonprofit sector. And then, oh my God, it's so hard to do both, you guys. Multitasking, also an important skill. But yeah, I would say just a lot of it's really relational, and then just having a really good understanding of the fields you're in. So nonprofits go everywhere from healthcare to food security to education. So really wanting to learn more and understand more and have an impact is what it takes.
All right, thanks. And then Sarah?
Am I next? So as a new student specialist, what I do currently is I represent the college, so Gateway, and create relationships with students and applicants. And I do help them with the application process. going through the entire admissions process and being able to promote college credit opportunities, especially at different high school partnerships, and attending different campus events. There's just to name a few skills that are needed for this position, I would say definitely being able to work in teams collaboratively and also being able to work independently by yourself. You also kind of need to know how to build relationships with students and people off campus, constituents like principals, teachers, and having good customer service skills, being able to talk to people, communicate effectively. So that's just a little bit about my position.
Thanks. Then we have Ernest.
Yeah, as a mission consultant, with regards to skills or just overall with regards to that career path, I know we're going to get to that later. I think just an overall passion with empathy, ability to value education and the diversity of what education looks like. I know sometimes, especially at the high school level, we kind of conform to a level of what education means, but when you expand upon it, it becomes very much universal when you think about it. In my role, facilitation becomes very important. The ability to take content, material, right, to be able to digest that and reproduce it in a way that connects to your audience becomes very valuable as well. So things like public speaking, curriculum development. I think Sarah spoke a lot about the ability to work collaboratively becomes important. Teamwork, being malleable, and then understanding of how, you know, the work that you do, though in the grand scheme of things may seem, you know, not important to, you know, people outside of your circle, but to see the work that you do as something that impacts people on, you know, very diverse levels and from, you know, different, you know, landscapes and perspectives. So pretty much ascribing a value to your work that delivers a level of passion and it pushes you forward. So that becomes very important for you know, the work that I do on a daily basis, but also even at the high school level as well, right? To really ascribe to value to what you do, and why you're doing what you're doing on a daily basis. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks. And then Jeremy.
So to be a firefighter paramedic in the general area of southeastern Wisconsin, you have to go to school for not only your firefighting classes, but classes that also include EMS. So paramedic, EMT, those classes are generally needed. Skills I would say you need to be successful and just enjoy this job more is you got to want to do it. You got to be active. You got to want to help people as much as you can. Critical thinking is huge, just because not everything is the perfect scenario. Actually, that never really is the case. Teamwork is huge. Leadership of your own, just wanting to further yourself, further your group, and help people pretty much in any way, shape, or form. And then above all, I think it's just, you know, wanting to make your community a better place, help as much as you can by doing whatever you can. If that's just helping somebody grab their jacket on the way to the hospital or taking care of their family after, obviously, we've taken their loved one to the hospital for whatever case that may be.
Great, thanks. And then Savan.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm currently a professor, but I started out in the middle school, and then I started teaching in a high school. So I think I just talked in general about education overall. There are many different entry points for education. As long as you, similar to Jeremy, have that that desire to help, you can be many different things in education. You can be a teacher's assistant, you can be a principal, you can be a social worker. That's one of the things I love about education. And educators are always trying to figure out what they want to be when they grow up. I know I still am. I'm still working on finishing my dissertation. So you really have to have a love for learning. And then your love for learning will then translate into the field, into the classroom, into the school, into the community. So the skills that you need for education is just the empathy and love, just have the ability to come in with an open heart and open mind. And I want to say you don't have to, you definitely have to have reading and writing and math skills. But the great thing about education is there are so many different content areas you can teach. If you love PE or you love art, you're into business, you can teach all of that. And then you can always change your mind and teach more or different things. So I think education it requires you to just be a well-rounded person and have the ability to want to grow.
Great, thanks. And I love that across the board, it seems like we've had this common theme, right, of having empathy, having, clear passion for what you do, communication, collaboration, but wanting to give back to the community. And so, earlier this week, we talked with students and somebody shared that you want to discover what your strengths are, what you're good at. So students, if you're good at empathy and you want to do something better for the community, here's a variety of ways you can do it in different forms of nonprofits or education or protective services where you have that sense of giving back. And it can work with, whatever your skill sets are. So thank you. Our third question then is, what was your career pathway from high school to where you are now? So just share a little bit of your journey where you ended up where you are now. And we'll start with Chelsea again.
Mine's fun. In high school, I thought I wanted to be a physical therapist. And then right after high school, I started volunteering on actually the Obama campaign and got really excited about, I'm aging myself here, got really excited about politics. So I went to school for political science. I spent my entire college career spending more time like interning and volunteering and being in the state capitol than I did in class, honestly. It was really, really good experience. And then I tried working in politics. I was a legislative aide in the state capitol. So I got to people would call with issues that they were having about their housing or their neighborhood, and you could actually do something about it. But there was also a lot of politics and a lot of stress around all the different legislative things that were happening and the decisions that elected officials were making. Then I worked in fundraising for a while. So I moved into a world where it was my job to raise money for candidates and then for nonprofits, which is a really, really great life experience and skill to develop. So if you like talking to people and getting to know people and you want a career sort of starting point that can take you really anywhere from nonprofit to big corporate work or marketing, learning how to fundraise is actually a really good place to start. And then I sort of moved away from that and into more of communications and marketing type positions. And then at my current role, moved into a leadership position, and I'm now the manager of the whole team. And the thing that I think is the most important thing that I've learned along the way is that you don't have to go in a straight path for your career. What you really need to pay attention to is what skills and experiences did you pick up that will apply wherever else you go, and keep track of that. And when you look at new jobs or new fields or new places that you might want to go, pay attention to what they're asking for people to have had experience doing. It doesn't have to be in the same field, but if you know that type of work and you did it somewhere else, it will translate. And my sort of path, I think, is really evidence of that, because I've been all over the place since I graduated from college.
Thanks. And then Sarah?
Yeah, so for me in high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do. When I got into college, it was my second year that I finally found out that I wanted to do something in the business field. So I did go for marketing. I studied at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee and focused in marketing. Now, currently, I'm still in the business pathway doing my master's. of business administration. I have a strong past experience working with people, coordinating events, a lot of sales work. So I love talking to people, communicating with people. I like meeting quotas, and it's just you have to be driven for this kind of industry, kind of what I do now. I always knew I wanted to work with students, and being a new student specialist for Gateway is like me promoting Gateway to high school partnerships, trying to get students to work with us. And along with that, just being a student myself, I love to see other students succeed and being able to help them with whatever they need to get done for college. So I was in that boat too, and I'm so happy to be here.
Thanks. And then Ernest?
Oh yeah, I think just, as a career pathway, I think the experience of high school, it can be a bit repetitive from the student perspective. It's like, when is this going to be over? You're trying to push through it, but if you could just take the time to really value, that time that you have in high school, I think that's important. Looking back, coming from a predominantly, Black African-American middle school to going to Rufus King High School here in Milwaukee, I was really impacted by the amount of diversity, but also really valued that. So finding a passion in differences within people around you. I think high school is a good place to start your ability to network, and also to identify the fact that high school can also be, a bit of a fork in the road, if you will, with regards to your decision-making. So I really found a passion in high school because I had the opportunity to actually take classes that focused on social services or sociology, psychology, aesthetics, and things of that nature. So I truly realized that, I knew what I was not good at, but I also knew that, based upon my strengths, I can kind of find that avenue to excel in my strengths. And that's when, I found a passion in actually wanting to be a teacher by being involved with, positive and influential teachers at that time. So really seeing high school as an opportunity to, find passions with regards to what I was good at. Therefore, I majored in education initially. I had the chance to actually attend a historically Black college and university in Louisiana, Xavier, but I made the choice to stay, home. So we have to make choices at high school too that are, very impactful for what our lives are going to look like, going forward with regards to taking that step to experiencing, education out of your comfort zone, or making that choice to stay home, and, things of that nature. So I majored in sociology in education at the time. So I did make a major change, if you will. So that might be a part of the process. I don't recommend that any student change their major 3 or 4 times because, we are dealing with money. It becomes important that you start to ascribe a value to how you utilize your resources that you have access to in the most fundamental and productive way possible, even in high school. So that becomes valuable as well. And then leading into my career path from education into sociology, I was able to work in, case management, social services. I worked in, schools as a paraprofessional, and then I really found my niche in, support services and facilitation, right? I was able to gain some skills as a trainer for my colleagues in crisis de-escalation, and curriculum development and curriculum adaptation and things of that nature. So while, you may, start in a specific position, if you look at it as an umbrella, you really start to narrow down the specific focus of this umbrella over this overlapping education background. Wow, what piece of this can I really take and make it my own, right? And then you can hone in with regards to what makes you a specialist or a content expert from a specific angle. And then you can see how that specific skill set that you have can be adapted to, different demographics and populations that you can, find with regards to, time, if you will, and your ability to make those things fit for you. So that was just a little bit about my career path. Thank you.
Great. Thanks for that advice there. Jeremy? Jeremy?
So I actually was gonna go in the military right out of high school. And right before that decision was made, I actually changed my mind. And I was playing with the idea because I was doing the business classes and all that stuff. I was thinking about going to college. Then actually that all got changed when I went and visited my cousin, and she was a firefighter at the time. We were just going to visit her at her station, and I fell in love. And from there on, I went to all my classes, just fell in love with it and never really looked back. But I will say this, over the 6 years I've been, going through this program, I've been a firefighter. I still am actively, like right now, I'm just applied to go back to school to get my marketing degree or marketing bachelor degree. So that'll be interesting. I will say that no matter what you do, you can always further yourself. You can always do more. And just like everybody said to this point, you have all these skills that like transfer over. That is 100% true. You could, be a sales associate and also a teacher. You can do whatever you want. Just it's how you curve that mentality and how you want to make your impact on whatever you're doing. But overall, I made my decision to go into the fire service, and now I'm making the decision to go back to school just to have something else to do on the side, further yourself and just have fun with life, really.
Thanks. And then Savan?
As Jeremy was speaking, I was just thinking all the firemen I know always have more than one job. So you're right on the right path. So for me, my path, I when I was in high school, I went to school in Chicago. I went to an all-girl Catholic high school. And so I really didn't know what I wanted to do to make money. So I took a career assessment and found out that I was like most likely to go into business. So of course I didn't do that because I was kind of a rebel. I decided to go into law and be a criminal justice major. My mother was a police officer in Chicago. She was in the Army. I have a lot of family that were police officers. So I was really heavily influenced by that as well. And so I started taking courses in criminal justice, but I also was a single mother. So I realized that being a single mom and being a police officer wasn't going to be conducive for my life. And I changed my major to back to business. And so graduated with a double major in communications and business. So I was working while I was going to college. I was paying my tuition and working in a real estate investment company downtown Chicago. I was promoted to management in the accounting department, and really didn't like it. I realized that the corporate world wasn't set up for me. It wasn't really for African-American female. It wasn't really for a single mother. And one of my closest, best friends from school knew she wanted to be a teacher like age 5. She was playing, teacher classroom, and she influenced me to go back to school. So I then went and got my master's degree in education. And started teaching in Chicago while I was doing that, way back a long time ago. And then found a real passion for getting high school students to college. So my first job after I left the business world was a recruiter for high school students to go into ACT preparation and go into college. And then I realized there was a big gap, that students didn't start freshman year really taking school seriously, and they didn't have the grade point average they needed to even get into the schools, let alone get the scholarships or the money. And I was like, I need to be a teacher. I got to start early. I got to start young. And so then I finished my degree, started teaching middle school, really liked it. Had some family changes. My mother passed away, so I moved to Illinois, ended up going to high school. Really loved it. I'm like, the older kids are so cool. And I'm like, well, what about college? And so like Jeremy said, I just was like, I could do more. I could do something different. So I started to work on my doctorate degree, and now I'm in college teaching teachers to be teachers. So I just feel like I have a bigger effect size where I can make an even bigger influence in the classroom. So that's my pathway.
Thanks. It seems another common thread, not just today, but across the week. I hope students are picking up on everybody's gone all these different ways, right? Most people don't stick with the exact same job their entire life. And so I hope as you guys are choosing what pathway you want to go to, you understand that it's not saying that this is your life sentence. You don't have to stick in that job the entire rest of your life. But like some of these panelists have said, you can take those skills and then transfer them to a variety of things. You're just gonna have more skills when you graduate to give you those tools. So thanks for sharing that. Our next question is just, what do you love about your career? And then we'll go in that same order.
Sure. So I think a couple of things. I get to manage a team of people, which is really awesome and hard, but really cool to help coach and see others' ability to grow and help them get to, hopefully being able to have my job someday. So that one. And I didn't really speak too much to what my organization does, but we work a lot on big systemic education issues. And we work with our USD and Parkside and Carthage and Goodwill and Gateway, and I guess everyone on this call about a lot of these challenges that our community faces around making sure that all of our families can thrive and succeed, and just being able to tackle really big, challenging issues in the community. That's to me, I think sort of to what Siobhan said about teaching teachers, the idea that I'm impacting whole big systems instead of, just like one person at a time, it really appeals to me personally. So a lot of the work we do is just so broad and has the opportunity to impact so many students or so many families. I think that's really cool. And then I think the last thing I would say is in a smaller nonprofit, you get to use like a lot of skills because there isn't a big infrastructure like in a big company. So I get to do HR work and leadership work and board management and team management and writing and graphic design, and like I don't have to do all of it all the time, but I still get to do some of that more fun stuff because we're such a small team. And it's nice to not be like sort of boxed in to like a very specific, like this is the same thing that you have to do every single day. So a lot of times in nonprofits, you get a broader experience around all the different things you can take on during your workday.
What I love about working at Gateway is seeing students succeed. I love being able to help and just kind of helping them, guiding them if they are undecided. I kind of was undecided, so directing them to career counselors. That way it gives students like sense of relief that there is resources to be able to help them. And just my past experience coordinating events, working with prospects and the business industry, marketing and sales, from cold calling, coordinating events. I'm so happy that I get to promote Gateway, attend high schools and work with students. And it's just all really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Fantastic. Yeah, so at Goodwill, even though I'm in my position for just over about a month and a half, I would say just the malleability of my position, the ability for, I think that, coming into the workforce, I think youth should understand that, having an outlook of growth potential becomes very valuable. when you get into a position. I think someone talked about, not necessarily seeing it as a life sentence, if you will, with regards to your current position, but actually visualizing and having an opportunity to see where you can go, right, in an organization becomes valuable when you choose your next work endeavor. I also heard other people talk about the trickle down, if you will, the impact of impacting people that impact people. If that, makes sense, right? I love the connectivity of my work life with my personal life. I know it's one thing that we want to deal with as far as, self-care is not to bring your work home with you, but if your home life, if you're an educator, I think was that Jeremy talked about, the aspect of safety that he deals with in his work life, but I know he brings that home to him, as well, with regards to providing that sense of security for his community and things like that. Well, it's the same thing, whether I'm educating, men and boys, youth, parents. It's just so passionate when you're able to relate the same things that you're dealing with, from 8 to 4 or 9 to 5, with what you're dealing with on a personal level as well. I really love the ability to get paid for my thoughts as well. I think something happens when a value is assigned to or ascribed to your perspective, whether it be your education, your personal history, your family history, and being able to infuse that into working with people who share a common experience with you. So workforce development is definitely a love and a passion that I get to share, not just at work, but in my personal life as well. And, being able to have an aspect of work that does not feel like work, right, becomes very important as well. And I think that's something that wakes us up in the morning and commits us to the drive to keep us pushing forward. So that's definitely something that I love about this work. Thank you.
Thanks. And then Jeremy?
Yeah, like Ernest said, with family and friends stuff, that's why I love my job. The guys here, I mean, if we were out there sitting around having breakfast with each other, call comes in, everything changes. We get into serious mode. It's no longer laughing and jokes and stuff. But more importantly, I mean, these guys have become my family. Guys and girls have become my family. On my off days, that's who I hang out with. That's who I go and get dinner with. It's a huge family atmosphere, huge teamwork thing, which I love. That's how I've played sports my whole life. Just really love that mentality to have. So, it's not just, all right, we'll leave, see you next time. It's, all right, we work our 24-hour shifts, hanging out with each other on some of the off days, come back, work with each other. I mean, I lived with these guys for a third of my life. So it really becomes just a second family here. And it makes it so much more enjoyable when you come to work and you're laughing, you're talking about each other's families, just getting used to being around them and joking with them, learning about their families being their family. So it just becomes this giant network, if you will, like we've been talking about. But now it's just with guys that are, my dad's age and people that are a little bit older than me, like my brother's age and my age. And, it just becomes this awesome family of, mentorship and learning new things every day.
What I love about my job is, I'm sorry, maybe because I go after Jeremy, same thing. Mentorship is what I want to pull from what the last thing he just said, especially. I love learning and teaching. And I love learning from my students as much as I love influencing, inspiring, and mentoring, because as you know, from the teacher relationships that you have, the relationships you have with your teachers, is that you can teach them some things and they're more than just teachers. They become, guidance counselors, father figures, just someone to talk to and support you. I love when students that I've taught, actually, a student just graduated from college who's now a teacher who I had when she was in 6th grade, which I know I'm really aging myself. But I I love the fact that we've had a relationship for some time now. I saw her as a student, and now I see her as a coworker, as someone who is in the same field, inspiring and influencing young minds. And so now she's a mentor for our program. And so I know I didn't speak a lot about the Urban Teacher Preparation Program. It's a program where when you are an education major, you can start teaching in the classroom freshman year. And that has a good impact for students, where they can learn either that they really want to be teachers or they really don't like it. But bigger than that, like we grow our relationship, and we have a camaraderie where we all have the same goal, where we're trying to help each other grow, and we're trying to influence other people and inspire other people as well to be the best that they can be. So that's what I love about my job. I love seeing the outcome, and I love going through the journey.
Thanks. And I know we're running out of time, but we've got one more question if we can all try to address it in just a few words. But if you have any final advice for our freshmen, it's our last panel of the week. If there's any lasting words that you want to hopefully stick with them.
My advice is that you should believe that you are capable of anything. You can be an engineer, you can be a doctor, you can be a firefighter, you can be a full-time parent, you can do childcare, you can do all of it. You're capable of college, you're capable of an associate's degree, you're capable of a technical program, you're capable of excelling in work and growing in a career. And don't ever listen to anyone who ever tells you differently. And it might take a while, and you might meander through some of the steps, but ultimately you will find yourself, if you keep working toward it, in a career where you're really able to thrive. It'll bring you joy, it'll bring you economic stability, and just, don't quit and don't listen to anyone who says otherwise.
I totally agree with Chelsea there. I also want to add that students don't rush into a program that you're unsure of. There's always resources for you. Don't jump into something that you aren't 100% on. I know at Gateway, we have counselors that are able to help with students that are undecided. So yeah, and don't let anyone tell you can't do anything.
I would just recommend that students at the high school level really see the value in, the fork in the road that you're dealing with right now. Some of your specific, habits, your ethics, your morals, your social circle, who you surround yourself with becomes very valuable, because these may be the same people that impact your decisions going forward. Understanding your level of development right now can be very confusing. You're at that point in life where you start to look like an adult, but you're still kind of treated like a kid. So it could be confusing, but understanding the dynamics of that, take advice, but also take quality examples, understand the difference between, quantity of friends versus quality of friends, if you will. Because we are definitely a reflection of the company that we keep. So it becomes very important. I would value mentorship and being open to aligning with like-minded people, especially professionals, and utilize and find the resources that are around you at your school, in your community, in your family. And don't be afraid to ask questions. There's no such thing as an ignorant question, especially when you're seeking knowledge and direction.
I guess for me, the biggest thing and the hardest lesson I had to learn coming out of high school and going into college was that the path is never just straightforward. It's gonna take a lot of ups and downs, lefts and rights, going up one way, coming back 10 steps. Just remember that the site is beautiful as soon as you get to it. But then wherever you got to get to, just keep going. What everyone said so far is completely right. Just keep going. It's gonna take some work to get wherever you want to be and be successful. But once you get there, it's amazing.
I think my few words would just be stay curious. Ask questions, ask questions, ask questions. I think the more you ask and the more you learn about yourself and the more you learn from other people, the better direction you'll have.
Thanks. And that's a great segue. Thank you for hanging on a little bit longer. But I do want to open up just in case students do have questions for any of the panelists. So at this time, I'm in a theater full of people, but then we also have classrooms listening. Are there any students who have any questions about education, leadership, protective services? You can type them in the chat if you're a teacher listening. Any teachers listening that are typing something in the chat we should know about? Otherwise, I want to really thank all of our panelists today. Thank you so much for staying on a little bit later. Thank you for your responses and your time today on behalf of Case students and staff. And have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you. Great to be here.
And then students, remember now you want to go and do your reflection piece, your last reflection piece of the week. So as a reminder, you're going to go into your Zello account like you've hopefully done 4 other times this week. So go ahead and open up your computers, log into your Zello account. Remember, you're clicking on About Me, Add an Experience, and that subject is See Your Future Expo. Make sure that's your subject. See Your Future Expo should be the subject. Just a reminder too, when you're answering those questions, try to be specific. If you liked something today, make a note in your response that it was about education or protective services or leadership, so that you remember that you liked it, okay? So try to be specific in those responses. And I'll stay on just a few minutes in case anybody has issues with their